Well, good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be able to welcome you to this week's call. And our MC or our host of this event is our chair for the legislative outreach. Our advocacy program that we do with the Corona Chamber has been a huge investment from the Chamber Board of Directors. And I just want to properly introduce our chair for this legislative action group, and that is Jeff Miller. Jeff is a former state assembly member. He served our area very well by representing all the businesses, working both sides of the aisle, talking to people. His common sense approach of things is attributed to all the things that he's done here locally, from serving as the mayor of the city of Corona and on the city council as a parks commissioner. All of those are volunteer positions. And the most important for me is the fact that he is a business owner and he understands what it takes to keep your doors open. And he works with elected officials still to this day, trying to have them understand and better represent all of us so that we can go ahead and employ people and create jobs. Like our theme this year is creating jobs to build a better and a stronger community. We are so fortunate to have Jeff as our chair. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Miller.
Thank you, Bobby. Good morning, everybody. It's quite an honor and a privilege to be your Legislative Action Committee chair this year. We're excited for today's meeting. We've got some great updates that Jeff's going to provide, and let's get right into it. I'd like to first announce our today's event sponsor is UFC Gym. With over 150 locations, UFC Gym is the world leader of MMA-inspired fitness. Rooted in authenticity, they are an extension of the UFC and are proud to make the training programs of MMA athletes available to all. Join their inclusive community of like-minded fitness enthusiasts and train differently. Thank you, UFC Gym, for sponsoring this meeting. As a reminder, there's a little chat button on the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, please click that to the chamber host and we'll get those questions answered. Now I'd like to hand it off to Bobby for a few comments.
Thank you so much, Jeff. First and foremost, the March and April issue of our award-winning Corona Business News publication is now available. It has been put into the mail, and I got to tell you, the team over here constantly excels by getting this done early. Here we are still in February, and this issue is printed and it's online, accessible online as well in the mail. There are several different articles that are in here. We encourage you to read through it. If there is ever an opportunity that you would like to have us do an article on your business or submit an article, please get a hold of us. We would love to consider that. And then also advertising is a huge component of what makes this work so well. If you're interested in advertising in the May-June issue, please contact either Robert or Tammy, and they will both be sharing in just a couple of minutes, so you get to know them as well. The next slide is our social media for restaurants, and I just wanted to update you. This was changed yesterday. It will be a virtual only event. So please sign up. We would love to have you on there. You see in the chat box that Anthony has put in the bit.ly. So feel free to log on and register. The two incredible speakers lined up are sure to be able to interest you and be able to help the restaurant businesses succeed. And we do have a little contest going on. So look at our social media posts and be sure and enter to win. You could win $50 by promoting this social media for your favorite restaurants. All that will be on our social media stuff. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and go to the next slide, which is our Angels game. And we are going to be the Corona Angels versus the Dodgers. It will be on March 27th. It's a 6 p.m. game. Great opportunity for you to take some of your employees or some of your family. Tickets are going to be from $35 to $55. And you can see the bit.ly there, which is Corona Angels Night 2022. It's going to be a jam-packed, fun night, and we encourage you to be there. And now it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce our Membership Development Coordinator, Robert Yanez. and he's just going to share with you a couple of things about our membership. Robert?
Thank you so much, Bobby, and thank you for everybody who's on this call today. If you are not a member and you're interested in becoming a member of the Corona Chamber, please reach out to me here on the chat, or you could call me here at the office, and I'd love to share all the great benefits about the Chamber. And as a matter of fact, one of our many benefits is doing your grand opening or re-grand opening ceremonies, anniversary ceremonies. And today we actually have one. So if any of you are available, we're having it at Red Rouge Beauty and Wellness. I put it in the chat. That's at 11 a.m. And we also have some great sponsorship opportunities and other advertisement opportunities that I'll let Tammy share. So I will turn it over to Tammy, our marketing specialist.
Thank you so much, Robert, and thank you everyone that you're here sharing with us. We're really excited because we do have events coming up all the time. We do have Karen Spiegel that's going to be speaking on March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day at our Good Morning Corona. So definitely don't forget to wear green. And as far as marketing your business, there's so many avenues that we can help you with. We're excited that our new newspaper is out and online, and we can help you with getting your ad in that or flyers in that. We also have an email blast that would help promote your business as well, and many more affordable ways. So definitely get a hold of Robert or I to help you with your sponsorship and your marketing. We're excited to help your business grow. And we're going to turn it back to you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Bobby. I just want to recognize, I like to go off the agenda a little bit. Corona Mayor Wes Speak is on the call. And Wes, before we get into Jeff, I don't know if there's anything you want to announce or anything that is going on of importance that you want to share. We can always come back to you if you're not at your desk.
Nope, I'm right here. I'm actually in City Hall today, trying to wrap up a few things before doing a ribbon cutting over at an initiative is going to be signed or promoted over at Fender for their music program. Going to be over there about 11 o'clock. And then we have our study session this afternoon starting at 4, which will be an update on our downtown revitalization plan, some updates on fees, and a couple other things. So if anybody's interested, everything is online, or you can show up here on the 3rd floor at 4 o'clock. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brad,
Thank you, sir.
I'll get to you after. Brad, I'll get to you after Jeff Gibson. I'll give you a few moments to gather your thoughts. With that, I'd like to introduce Jeff Gibson from Occidental Communications Group. Jeff, for 32 years, Jeff has specialized in a variety of different political, government, and campaign affairs. He specializes in areas of housing, transportation, environment, and is our wonderful consultant that brings a tremendous amount of information to our group, and we're very, very appreciative of his efforts. And with that, Jeff, it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I'm no Andrew Stevens, but I do appreciate the opportunity to partner with you today. So for everyone who did not see the Miracle on Ice in 1981, the headline star in that, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 98% approval, was Andrew Stevens, if anyone is old enough to even remember who that is. Connie Stevens, Connie Stevens' son. Anyway, out of the 60s and 70s, and I can see that we've already bored Anthony, so we're going to be moving on to the matter at hand. In recent history, California had something known as a state prison system. And when that state prison system was working, we had some of the lowest crime rates that we had had in almost 100 years, and which allowed for historic levels of growth. Well, starting in about 2016, we decided as a state that that was not going to be what we wanted to do. In fact, some of us, and I'm looking at in my direction and in Mr. Miller's direction, in 2005, 2006, were concerned about the way the state was going. And so we passed common sense child safety and personal safety codes in Prop 83. It was so controversial in 2006. It was endorsed by both leading candidates for governor. It was endorsed by both parties. And excuse me, don't get too close to your screen. I have the sniffles this morning. I don't want to put everybody off. But I was wearing my mask earlier, but then it looked funny in the mirror. So in any case, it was a bipartisan issue. We moved forward. We did a great deal of reform. We decided as a state with Prop 47 that we were essentially going to eliminate most of the felony codes in the state of California. The vast majority were literally removed from the penal codes. And at the same time, both because of court order and other orders, we were going to be releasing a historic number of prisoners from our jails. Historic in that the countries that had attempted in the past to release this many criminals all at once, I can list them for you. You may recognize some of them in history. The Soviet Union during the Bolshevik Revolution, Cuba during the 1959 revolution, and then again during the 1981 Mario boat lift, Iraq during both wars. So usually there is a rise in crime if you are going to be releasing people from state prison. You do not get to state prison accidentally. It is very difficult to get into state prison. If you're not going to be serving less than 3 years for a crime, you're generally not going to be going to state prison. And if you are in state prison, you're generally in a minimum lockup as opposed to more of a lockup. So if you are being released from a medium or higher level of confinement in state prison, you are a violent criminal by any common definition, until Prop 47 came along and removed most of those definitions. And so as a part of that, we started releasing criminals at a higher and higher rate. And as we've known, as we've reported here routinely over the last 5 years, as we've been going through this bold experiment, crime has been increasing. Since the lockdowns, it has increased substantially more. One of the reasons for that is, and we have been working with the legislature for years now to reinstall a very common sense way of approaching what is a felony property crime and what is a misdemeanor property crime. And there's two ways. One is to lower the threshold of goods that must be stolen to qualify as a lower level felony crime. Now, for most of us, because we don't spend a lot of time contemplating this or being in the court system, a felony is a serious crime, but it does not mean that you necessarily will end up in state prison. But it is a serious deterrent. You are likely going to end up behind bars for a period of time. And I'm not making light of that. But this is not being thrown in prison for stealing a pizza and then you're gone forever. This is not any of those things. This is changing the definitions of shoplifting or crimes that can be done against your business from $950 per incident and helping redefine what an incident qualifies for and how those incidents will be looked at. As a for instance, in Rancho Santa Margarita this morning alone, the Lowe's, the Kohl's department store, which is across the street, literally a stone's throw from the police station. They actually share a parking lot for the most part. A woman walked in and walked out 6 different times with her arms filled with goods. And she was under the impression that her vital mistake was, 1, she was across the street from the police department, and 2, her getaway car didn't leave every single time. And so the police counted it as $4,000 worth of crime, where if her getaway car had left and then returned 4 times, she would have been charged with a misdemeanor. each time, a $25 misdemeanor. So these crimes are going on regularly. They're often called smash and grab. And that's what we're going to be looking at here, because they have crossed over the threshold from what would normally be considered crime into an area where, for instance, Target is moving out of urban areas in California. CVS has closed nearly all of their stores in San Francisco County. And both because of the local prosecutor and their approach to charging these crimes, and because of the ongoing crime. So I think we've probably gone through that pretty thoroughly. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to discuss them. But what you're seeing now, and what is regularly advertised by criminal gangs themselves, is a unprecedented level of coordination, where people are writing on their hands, or people are being caught with calculators, going through and finding that they are going to be taking the $700 TV as opposed to the $975 TV because of the changes in code. In Walmarts in Northern California, I don't know if you've seen this recently, are actually putting trackers like you would have on CDs in the old days, or you would have on higher end goods. If you go in and try and buy a ribeye in Contra Costa County at a Walmart that's over $20, it is in a aluminum shielded device that cannot open unless it's opened at the counter after you've paid for it. This is the California that, whether by design or by accident, is being created. And so this is what we're trying to work on. So one of the big challenges that we're up against, and this is not unusual, is the legislature is the last body to pick up on the need for change. Prop 47 has been debated routinely every year since it's passed. It was debated routinely, and not just by the minority party, but by both parties, on the impact, because it took a sweeping approach to the penal code and took everything below rape and serious crimes and removed them from felony classes. So there are obvious drafting errors. For instance, if you rob an establishment with your own gun, that's a felony. If you rob an establishment with a stolen gun, that's misdemeanor. So you would look at that and say, well, it's a gun crime no matter what, should always be a felony. Well, because of the way that the Prop 47 was drafted, there's a clear drafting error there. But that has not been. But those issues have gone on and on and on and on and on for years under debate, because the legislative majority has been clear that they do not want any reform. They don't want to open Prop 47 at all. So this year we do have a couple of things that we're working on that we wanted to discuss and bring to you, because this is a big issue. And I'm happy to answer any questions before we get into the policy, if anybody has any questions or anything else.
There are no questions at this time.
Okay. And one of the ways that this affects each of us on this call is if we have an employee, there's a dispute over some goods that could be taken from the location. So Corona Chamber employees, please plug your ears. But this is 90% of the time that this shows up for employers, there has been a theft at a business. And those thefts are often discovered well after the fact, because people are in professional office spaces, especially, are in positions of trust. And you realize, wait, what happened to this? What happened to that? And what you go through is you find out, well, this, previously would have qualified for some form of felony investigation in which a detective could be assigned, etc. But because it's a misdemeanor now, you get a $25 ticket to appear. It takes the officer longer to fill out the ticket, then they would serve in custody. And now you have a situation where these crimes are going completely unpunished. You may have seen the Grove was invaded by over 100 individuals and 85 cars. The Nordstrom's at the Grove suffered in the Fairfax district of West Los Angeles, suffered $18 million in damage in 5 minutes on top of the thefts. And there were very few arrests. So this is a serious issue. So the three areas that we are tracking for you are: one, the California budget has $20 million in it. Woohoo! $286 billion budget, and it has $20 million for damages to compensate small businesses through the GoBiz agency. On one of our Sacramento trips, we were the first business group to meet with the GoBiz agency before they even had funding. And in fact, Bobby can confer, and anybody who was in the room then said that they had legislative backing. They had been created, but they had absolutely no funding, and asked us for help in advocating for funding. So since that time, they've become a very important agency to us. They've become a very important agency to a lot of different organizations, and we have had a very long track record of success with them. GoBiz looks like they're probably going to have a $20 million fund for small businesses that are affected by this, by smash and grab robberies and that type of incident. Of course, we know that most of the smash and grab per se are specific to larger businesses, Target and others. So that's the first part. The second, so that's in the budget. Having it in the budget is important because then we have an opportunity to go and advocate for something. The second is reinstitute the lower threshold for felonies. There are several legislators that are looking at how to do this. One of the bills that is likely to receive the fairest hearing is AB 1603 by Assemblymember Rudy Salas, a Democrat from Bakersfield, which would lower the threshold for consideration of charging a felony from $950 down to $400. That is an important number, obviously, because now what you're doing is you're reinstituting basically the rules that were in before Prop 47, where you did not have any of this activity or a majority of this activity. And now the crimes can be investigated, as I've said, on a much different basis, because police departments, prosecutors, etc., do not put a huge amount of effort into investigating misdemeanors. There's a specific amount of effort that they put in because time is not infinite. Doing this as a felony now gives them the opportunity to reevaluate those strategies as well. I'm not saying that they get off light, but they get off light. And a potential ballot measure is being looked at, and we will keep you updated, that would achieve the same thing that, excuse me again, I would encourage everyone to remain 6 feet away from their screen while I'm speaking. And I do not have COVID. The ballot initiative would be looking at lowering the threshold for felonies, very similar to AB 1603. So with that, any questions?
Thank you, Jeff. There are no questions.
Stunned you into silence.
Jeff,
Yes.
the threshold prior to Prop 47 was $450 or 400?
400.
It was 400. Okay.
That was my understanding.
Okay.
Was it 450?
I don't know. I couldn't remember. I think I was either 400 or 450, and then it got increased to 950. So
the biggest piece was the 950, because now you're putting in a series of premium goods that previously weren't there. And then the second piece of how this changed the entire environment around theft is that you were taking folks that were in prison for some very serious crimes, and you were removing them. Now, part of that was under a judicial order because we in the state refused to build more prisons, which is an entirely separate issue. But on top of that, there were a number, AB 109, were just flat out prison release of prisoners. So we've rethought twice in the last 50 years. We have changed our strategy in the last 100 years. We've changed our strategy 3 times on crime. Between 1930 and 1980, we essentially followed a liberalization of the criminal code, and ended up with the highest crime rate in the country by 1980. Between 1980 and 2010, 2006, we tightened the criminal code and ended up with one of the lowest crime rates in the United States. And then starting in 2006, we again have begun to liberalize the code. I'm just describing it. I'm not defending one or the other. And we have ended up with a 3-fold increase in property crime in a substantially shorter period of time than the other 2 periods.
Thank you, Jeff. So
You're
we're gonna keep a close eye on AB 1603. Obviously, as a Chamber of Commerce, these issues are near and dear to our hearts. None of our we don't want any of our businesses to have to experience one of these smash and grabs. It's very, very disruptive to the operation of any local small business owner. And with the sheriff on Good Morning Corona last week, spending a significant amount of time talking about how his hands are tied by the new smash and grab laws. We're going to be watching this extremely closely. My gosh, if it's kind of hard to imagine if the assembly can't get that bill out of committee and onto the assembly floor for a vote, it'd be very disappointing. But anyways, I won't editorialize any more than that. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Let's get into a few other things. Just want to jump off the agenda real quick. I'd like to recognize our nonprofits that are on the call. Jim from Peppermint Ridge is on. Hi, Jim. And I see our local association of realtors is on the call. Hello. If you guys can put your contact information in the chat, if somebody wants to get involved or make a donation or whatever, join. Feel free to put that information in the chat. And then before I'm going to go to Brad next, but I do want to offer Sam Atani, the CEO of the Corona Regional Medical Center, an opportunity to give any updates from his perspective, whether it's Corona Regional Medical Care issue, Corona Regional Medical Center issues, or healthcare issues in general. So sorry, Sam, I'm putting you on the spot, but there he is. So we'll come right back to you, Brad. I'm going to let Brad West from Assemblymember Cervantes' office say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure being on with you this morning. So we just last week, we had our mortgage relief and rental assistance town hall. It went very well. If you didn't get a chance to see it, or you know some folks who could use that information, it is posted on our Facebook and YouTube pages. And if you want me to send you a link to that, I'd be more than happy to. We also had our Cash for College webinar for college students and their families last night. So again, if you think of anyone who might want to utilize that resource, feel free to let me know and I can send them that recording as well. As far as legislation goes right now, we do have one bill that has been sent to the state Senate for committee assignment, and it has to do with sexual assault counselors on college campuses. It essentially mandates that sexual assault counselors be independent from the universities themselves to avoid the conflict of interest that might arise. So we're very excited about that one. It's AB 1467. Other than that, I have nothing else. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Brad. That sounds like a great bill. Hopefully we can maybe get some support letters for you on it.
Thank you.
With that, Sam, do you want to jump in here at all?
Yeah, I'll jump in and give a couple updates on the COVID and let you guys know what's happening in the hospital. So in the peak, we were seeing close to 80 patients, COVID patient per day. Right now, as of yesterday and this morning, we were down to 14. So we're seeing a sharp decrease in COVID inpatient. So that's really good news. I will continue to encourage everybody to protect themselves. That virus is still out there and then we still can't get it. But we're seeing an improvement on that. Our ED is back to normal. So we're not being slammed with patients. So I encourage everybody, if they need any emergent care, to come to our ED and use the services that we can provide. So all in all, it's good news on the COVID front. So we appreciate everybody's support, especially the community standing behind us during these tough times. And that's all I got for you today.
Thank you, Sam. You have a very, very difficult job, and we really appreciate you, what you do and the efforts that you put into it with your team, with Linda on the call also. So thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you.
We'll go to the next slide. If you want to reach out to our legislators, there you have our Assembly member, Sabrina Cervantes, and Senator Richard Roth's contact information if you want to reach out to them on any issue that you feel is necessary. With that, before I end today's call, I just want to, I think we've got almost everybody recognized on the call. Board member Chad Miller's on the call. Thank you, Chad, for jumping on. And I know Monica Green, the president of Norco College, was on. And of course, Brad West from Assembly Member Cervantes' office and our Corona Mayor, Wes Speak. Thank you all for jumping on board. Once again, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, UFC Gym. No matter what your age or athletic ability, beat the routine and train at the caliber of world champions. Learn more at ufcgym.com. Next week, we will do this again next Wednesday, March 2nd, and go out and make some money, folks. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you so much.